First and foremost, I want to say welcome back, guys. I have a special guest with us. Retired, he's living his best life. I had to wait till he got back from vacation.
That's right.
If you don't know him, he was the head coach at Oak Ridge, and he did a phenomenal job. 429 wins over there. He's retired, and now he's just strictly a teacher. Head coach Aaron Green. How you doing, Coach Green?
I'm doing well. Enjoying retirement.
How was the vacation before I even get started?
It was good. It wasn't really a vacation. My wife's a State Farm agent, Laura Lynn Green, and she had a State Farm convention in Vegas, so I got to go. So it was a good trip.
Did you
I would call it my vacation, but it wasn't really a vacation for her. But it was good.
Did you go on a strip? Did you do anything?
You know what? I just not a big gambler, but I stayed. We stayed at Caesars, so I stayed there while she was doing her thing and played a little, some video poker, played some blackjack. That was about really all I got into. So I'm not one of those high stake roller type guys. So stick with the $5, $1 stuff. So it was good. I actually left. I come back with more money than I went. So it's the first time that's ever happened. So
yeah, that's a win. That's a win. Coach.
That was good. Yeah,
that's a win.
So I take a certain amount of money, and when I get, I got lucky that last night I was like, you know what, I'm gonna either go broke with what I brought, or I'm gonna double it, and I doubled it.
So now I'm gonna say now you have 430 wins now.
That's right. That's right. 430.
But going into your early career, you was a basketball player at Sweetwater. You played under your dad. What was that like?
At the time it was really hard. As I've gotten older, I look back and it's kind of molded me who I am today, as even coaching wise, and who I was as obviously a player playing at Tennessee. But my dad, both my parents. My mom gets mad because I leave her out a lot when we talk about my dad coaching me. But it was very very demanding, high standards. Got to outwork everybody. And we had some pretty good players there at Sweetwater when I was playing. It wasn't just me, so it was a great experience. I think the work ethic that I have today was probably started in those years with my dad, even before high school. But won a state championship with him. Should have won 2 in a row. Got beat by Harriman my senior year by Jermaine Copeland, who most people know that name, receiver for Peyton Manning back in the day. He was a friend of mine. They beat us my senior year in the state championship game. But a great experience. Sweetwater is my home for sure. And matter of fact, the baseball team, I think, is playing in our baseball team and Sweetwater's baseball teams in the state tournament as we speak. But yeah, a lot of great memories. And my dad pushed me, and it was not easy playing for my dad. It was a lot of high school players don't have to ride home with the coach after the game. If you lose, it ain't a good trip. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it was a great experience, and I think it helped me get a college scholarship off the University of Tennessee.
Before we even get to Tennessee, did you feel like it was pressure playing because your dad was the head coach? Was it added pressure for you?
Probably a little bit. I think being a coach's son, there's an expectation there. I'm sure it was probably at the time I didn't realize how tough it was on him, but lucky for him, I was a good player, so he didn't have to. They say as a coach's son, you either want to be really good or really bad. You don't really kind of be in between, because if that's the case, and you're only playing because your dad's coach and that type of deal. But yeah, it was. It was a great experience, and again, I look back on it. And other than some of the SEC experiences as a player, we played in 3 straight state championship games. We was runner-up twice and won it my junior year. So that was a pretty good three-year run there for the Sweetwater Wildcats.
I got a story to tell you. I wasn't, as in high school, I wasn't with my dad. He was coaching me in middle school. In middle school, I had the green dot, so I had to run to the sideline and come back. And one play he told me was called 4-4 standard. So we just make sure that we keep our guys in front of us. We play that position. But I came back and I told the team 4-4 standard. The other team hiked the ball, they run, they score. They get like 50 yards, and then we tackle them up the field. So my dad calls a timeout. He goes, I got a question. Why do you guys stand there? He said, your son said 4-4 stand there. I was like, no, I thought I said stand there. My dad pulled me out the next minute. I mean, he got me in there a couple plays later. He was like, don't do that again.
That wasn't good.
Do you have something like that, a story like
my dad, man, he was tough. He was a great coach. He was my assistant at Oak Ridge as well. Yeah, I mean, there was plenty of times he kicked me out of practice, and most road trips. Funny story. My mom was actually a teacher at McMinn Central. McMinn Central was in our district, and that's where my sister played. She was younger, but every time I'd go to McMinn Central, they would chant "Daddy's boy" every game. So, I mean, we always beat them if there's any Central fans listening, but we always did beat them. But I would have to hear that. And my mom, since she was a teacher there, I would always say, why don't you defend me? She goes, well, I got loyalties on both sides because I'm a teacher here. So that was probably the funniest thing as far as just going back, a long time ago. But I do remember that.
So now fast forward into Tennessee. You go there, you play 4 years. What was that experience like? I know that you was like a situational guy over there, but what was that? What was that?
It was a great 4 years. I was, I wasn't highly recruited out of high school. I committed to Tennessee at the end of my junior year after Kevin O'Neal was just hired. That's a whole podcast by itself, probably with Kevin O'Neal. But yeah, I was kind of recruiting Tennessee. Most people, I guess most good athletes are probably not, what's the word I'm looking for? Bold enough to say that, I want to go to Tennessee. I was a Tennessee guy, so actually I'd committed and I had plane tickets to go to University of Evansville. There were some other schools starting to recruit me because I had a good spring and summer after my junior year. But once they offered me, I took it, and it was a great experience. My freshman and sophomore year, I played for Kevin O'Neal. I was a defensive guy. A lot of people don't know this, but my freshman year, I led the SEC in steals in the SEC games. Or it may have been flip-flop. I think that was my sophomore year. My freshman year, I led the SEC in three-point percentage in SEC games. Then we got a new coach, and we started recruiting more better players. I didn't get to play quite as much. I was a backup behind Tony Harris. He was a really good point guard. He was a McDonald's All-American my junior and senior year. We made NCAA tournament my junior and senior year. And really during that time, I knew I wanted to coach. I had an injury there my senior year, so I knew I wasn't going to go overseas or any of that stuff. I was going to go right into coaching. So I was kind of just, learning the game and, at that level, and preparing myself to coach.
Was it like when you was transitioning to a coach, was it hard for you, or was it just an easy thing because your dad was a coach and your mom was a teacher? Was it an easy thing for you?
At that age, as you probably know, we know it all at that age, right?
Yeah.
We know it all. And when I took the high school job at Cleveland, I thought I had it all figured out, but I knew what I was doing. I mean, I knew what I was doing. I'd been around the game enough. But all the stuff outside of – that's one thing Coach Pearl was real good at. All the stuff outside of the X's and O's are really more important than the X's and O's. And that was something I got better at as I got a little older and got some years under me. But yeah, I think I was prepared. I mean, my dad was a coach. I've been around it really ever since I was born. And Cleveland gave me an opportunity, right out of college, which I was fortunate. And, just started my coaching career there.
But you was a GA at Tennessee though.
Yeah,
with Bruce.
Yeah, that was after my 7 years at Cleveland. So I took a GA spot with him, and that was a great 3 years. How
was Bruce Pearl for people that don't know anymore?
Yeah, man, Coach Pearl's great. I learned more in those 3 years. I can't even really put it into words how much I learned, and it was good for me because. I wanted to get into college coaching at that point, but my timing wasn't great because we just had our second child. So I had 2 kids, making no money, grinding, never coming home till late at night. Every college coach knows this. And, so I had 2 kids at home. Anyway, we'll get to how I got to Oak Ridge, but it was great. I was preparing myself just to really I was getting educated. I was going to become a better coach. I was wanting to learn more, learn from a guy that had some success. And I got there after Coach Pearl's first year, and I think he shared the SEC right out of the gate, his first year coaching. So I knew I was going, be around a really good coach, and obviously not only him, but his staff was great. Coach Forbes at Wake Forest, a friend of mine now. Brooke Savage was a manager there. He's the head coach at ETSU now. Tony Jones is in there, still in the area. Jason Shea, all those guys. I'm leaving somebody out, but yeah, it was a great experience. I learned a ton, and those 3 years really. I give a lot of credit to the success I had as a coach at Oak Ridge was those 3 years with Bruce Pearl. He's not only a great X's and O guy, but he was also a very good communicator. I had never experienced a college coach that would talk to parents, the players' parents and stuff. But he knew how to do things right.
And I was going to ask you about that. I know you just said that he's more than X and O guys. How much of that did that teach you? On your next steps, was it the X and O's that you really took from him? Was it the players and coaches' relationships? What did you really learn from Bruce that you took over?
Yeah, I think the confidence that Coach Pearl instills in his players is something you can't really teach. I think as a coach, you either got it or you don't. And I was able to see that firsthand. I mean, he would, for example, he would call plays for Wayne Chisholm Wayne Chisholm was our 5-man, and he would call plays late in the game. We needed a bucket for him to shoot a 3, and I'm over like, oh no, don't. But he practiced those, and Wayne was, and he gave him confidence. And that was just one example, but he was always having players in his office. You'd come in the office and then be a player in there talking, and he just knew how to motivate people. He knew how to give them confidence, and it's kind of hard to explain. But as a coach, I realized, I was probably a little bit too. I would say after those 3 years, I felt like, I was a little bit too old school. If that makes sense. As a coach, the things have changed, kids have changed. So that was probably besides the X's and O's, which we did at Oak Ridge, a lot of what Coach Pearl did, that was probably the biggest take.
All right, now going into Oak Ridge, how did the opportunity come? And was Central also knocking on the door? Now I'm playing.
Yeah.
How did the opportunity come Oak Ridge?
It was a tough decision to get out of college. Like I said before, it was a family decision to get out of college. We go to the Elite Eight. My last year as a video coordinator, we lost to Michigan State. Matter of fact, we're a free throw away from going to the Final Four. 2010, and after that, I just had my son, and I thought, well, here's my chance. We're gonna. We do so well. It's the first time they'd met at Elite Eight at that time. Now, Coach Barnes has raised the level. I think he's been there 3 times. But at that time, it was the first time to the Elite Eight. And I thought, well, assistants are going to get jobs. Everybody's going to move up. I'm going to get promoted or go with one of the assistants. Well, everybody gets raises. Nobody leaves. So I'm like, golly, I'm grinding this thing out. This is a rough row. I'm never at home. My kid, I got a newborn. So I just made the decisions. At college, timing's got to be good. Kind of continue to move up. Got to have some breaks, and I think the timing of all that just got me back into high school ball. So Oak Ridge came open. I actually didn't get it. I applied after my second year at UT and didn't get it. And Barry Wortman, who's a great coach, he stayed there a year, then went on to Blackman. Funny story, we ended up playing Blackman in the state championship 4 years later. And then after he stayed 1 year, and then I was hired the next year.
When you got over there, was the basketball team already established? Did you have to bring in your own culture? What did you have to do?
Oak Ridge has got very good tradition. There's I call it a standard of excellence there, really from academics all the way up through. They like to win. And I knew that. That's one of the reasons I wanted to go to Oak Ridge when it came open, is they like to win, and I like that. It got great tradition, and it's kind of its own community. But so they had some tradition. They hadn't won a state championship since 1963, and 61 and 63 were the only. That was one of the first things I looked up, and hadn't been to a state championship game since '63. So, but they'd been to a lot of state tournaments. They had a lot of state tournament appearances. Had a lot of great coaches. So there was some tradition there, but from Coach Pearl, my take was, let's raise the level of expectation. So when I got the job, I said, let's raise the level of our expectation. Even though we've had some tradition here, and we had a pretty good run. I think we made 7 over my 16 years there. We made 7 state tournaments. I think we had 2 runner-ups, and those kind of still sting a little bit because we had a chance to win both those. And T. Higgins year, we had an injury to our second best player. Probably could have won it that year. So, but looking back on it, man, I'm proud of what we were able to accomplish in those 16 years. I've said in my press release when I was done that I feel like I'm leaving the program in a better place than I found it.
T. Higgins, you got to coach him.
Yeah.
What was he like?
Man, he's obviously the best athlete I've ever coached. Great kid. He's not a kid anymore. He's a man. Great kid. His mom's done a great job with him. Couldn't happen to a better young man. A lot of people get caught up in how athletic and how talented he is, but I thought, you see it a lot. I mean, I've been coaching 27 years. You see a lot of talented players, but they don't always have the entire package. When you got talent, well, you're a knucklehead, or you don't take care of your business in the classroom, or whatever. T had it all. He went through some struggles when he was, personal stuff. He's mentioned some as he's been in the NFL, and he's overcome a lot of adversity growing up, and did what he had to do to be successful, and paid off for him.
Did you think he would be a football player, or was you trying to lead him towards basketball?
No, I wasn't pushing him toward basketball. Obviously, I'm glad he wasn't going to play his senior year. I'm glad he did. But man, he could have played college ball, but I think just just his God-given ability and talent with his size and leaping ability, and he's top-notch receiver. I'm not an NFL football coach, but I thought, and he obviously ended up going to Clemson, which, a lot of Tennessee fans probably upset about that. I'm a Tennessee guy, but he made the right decision there because, they had Trevor Lawrence who could throw the ball a little bit. Yeah. So, a matter of fact, I was cleaning out my office and got the poster when T caught a touchdown pass against Alabama in the national championship. Then he also caught one in the Super Bowl, which is pretty sweet. But great kid, man. He had some good teammates too when he was there. But great kid.
That was a face mask in the Super Bowl.
What's that?
That was a face. Nah. I'm a Rams fan.
No.
I'm a Rams fan.
I don't even remember the play. But
I'll tell you, Jalen Ramsey. No.
Yeah. I remember that. Now that was just incidental contact.
But I do root for T though. Yeah. I do. Getting back to your coaching career though, is there one season that really stings the most out of every season that you ever coached? Because everybody has that one team where you're like, we should have won this one.
Yeah. It's hard to even get there. I think any coach will tell you to get to a state championship game is an accomplishment in itself, but there's no moral victories. I think there's three. In 2017, T's senior year, E.J. Bush, who went on to play at Carson Newman, tore his meniscus. And, that's part of sports. It happens, injuries. But at the time he got hurt, he was, stat-wise, he was our best player. He was leading us in rebounding, first or second behind T in scoring. Well, he didn't ever make it back. He did it like in December. And if we would have had him, I think we'd have definitely won it. But ifs and buts or candies and nuts, all that stuff. But 2017, we lost to Memphis East, Penny Hardaway. They went on to win. That was in the Final Four. They had a shot there. T had a shot at the rim, got fouled, didn't call it. And then Memphis East won the next game by 25. That one hurt because of the injury and still could have won it. And then in 2014, go back 3 years prior to that, we were playing Barry Wortman, who I took his place. Yeah. They had a guy on their team named Jawan Jennings. Remember that name?
Yep, the receiver.
He was with. I don't know where he's at now.
I know he got cut for the 49ers. I don't think
he
signed yet.
So he was on Blackman. T was just a freshman, and that one stings more than any of them because we were up 9 going into the fourth quarter. And scored the first possession of the fourth quarter. So we're up 11 with like 7 minutes and 30 seconds to go and lost. Just started turning it over. I burned every timeout. I mean, I can go through most of those plays still today, even though that was 11 years ago. And then 2 years ago, we lose to Hillsborough in the championship game. Could have won that one. That one we just didn't really play well enough. But, we had a tough region. We had some really good teams. Bearden was good. Maryville was good. Knox West was good. We won our region and went on to beat Sevier County in a close one and beat Walker Valley, then beat a good team out of Memphis, Whitehaven, in the semis, and then lost to Hillsborough, who had a really good team. But those three sting the most for sure.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, it's not like you lost to people that we don't know.
Right. Yeah.
These are good quality names.
Yeah, those sting. I mean, they're for sure. I mean, I obviously have a chance to – state championships are hard to come by, but – they told me when we got the silver ball, when they give it to you, is like, I think I think it was Jody Wright who's at Fulton. He's on the board, so he brought me my state runner-up trophy after the game. I'm still mad, right? He goes, man, the silver ball. I remember exactly what he said. He said the silver ball will look a lot better in the trophy case in a few weeks. This thing still don't look no better. It's been like 3 years later. That thing still. I hate that looking at that thing. Wish it was gold, but. But, man, those are fun times. I mean, you obviously want to win those, but just glad we were able to get there. And disappointed we couldn't get it done. But
so name like the top – I want to ask you this because you have a lot of lists, and I'll get back to this. Top 5 athletes you've seen either you coached against or you coached, and top 5 athletes you played against.
Okay. I'm not great with name. Gilchrist for the Oklahoma City Thunder. What's his two-time MVP.
Oh, Shea?
Yeah. Shea. Yeah. Scrimmaged him at Oak Ridge. He went to Hamilton Heights in Chattanooga, so I'm counting that one. He was pretty good. Went on to Kentucky. Let's see. We played several. We played. What was? I'm bad with names because when you scout, you look at jersey numbers, and I'm looking at names. The Walker, I think it was Walker Kessler, played at Auburn. He's an NBA. We played against him. We played against the point guard that went to Brentwood Academy that's with the Cavaliers.
Oh, Garland.
Garland played against him. There's a few more. There's 3. We played them in a Christmas tournament in Nashville. I know there's some in the Arby's class that we played. That's 3. I'll go back to when I played in college. Man, my sophomore year, Kentucky won the national championship in '96. Mm-hmm. They were loaded. Went Antoine Walker, Walter McCarty, Tony Delk, Ron Mercer. They were pretty good. Wally Zerbiak was probably, I don't know if you remember that name. He was in NBA. I guarded him. He was Miami, Ohio. There was some. Billy Donovan was at Florida at the time. White Chocolate. He wasn't bad.
The point guard.
Jason Williams. Yeah. They call him White Chocolate. Yeah, he was tough. He was tough. Yeah, he was tough. I'm leaving out a few. But I think those are, for the sake of time, I think those are probably some names you'll know.
Coach, you guys, you've seen a lot of talent.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot of talent.
Chris Lofton, I coached him. He was there. He could shoot a little bit. Still talk to him a lot to this day. So Chris
Lofton, is he that quiet?
Yeah.
Because
he's gotten better. I know he's speaking and stuff now, but he's pretty quiet.
I see him. He just, so man, I mean, we have a real short conversation, sometimes long. But.
Quick story on him. I used to rebound for him a lot. I was a GA at the time. I seen him make like 121 straight threes. Well, I think about that a second. He would shoot 25 in 7 spots. I'm not very good at math, but he made like 121 straight threes.
So was you there when he hit the shot over Kevin Durant?
I came the year after that. Yeah, I was at the game though. I was at the game. He's tough.
Now getting back to your coaching career, replacing you was a guy that you know very, very well. You got Denard Bertram. What can you say about him and what Oak Ridge is getting out of him?
Great coach, great guy. The players don't know it yet, but they're going to love him. He was on that 2014 team, or he was an assistant on the team when we played Juwan Jennings and Blackman, the state championship. He was on my staff at that point. I can't remember how many years he was with me, but when I had an opening, I remember calling him. He's a Harriman guy. He played with Jermaine Copeland. So me and him go way back, and he's when I got out of it, I've had several assistants and I appreciate this with Denard. He never called me like when I got out. He said congratulations, and all that, but he didn't really say, hey, can you help me get the job? He was one of the first names that come to my mind when I got out. When Coach Gaddis, our AD, said, hey, who would you think would be a good replacement? He was one of the first ones out of my mouth. So along with several others, but he'll do a good job, and Oak Ridge is really fortunate to have him.
Now, retirement life. I know you haven't really started yet besides going to Vegas.
Yeah, good start.
What has that been like? Do you feel like you missed the gym a little bit or anything?
Well, no, not really. Just now, I told Denard yesterday, I was like, man, I ain't moved my office out yet. So when you come tomorrow, like, give me just a day or two to get that out. I got some of that done today. Really, and a lot of coaches say it when they get out, spend more time with family. That's definitely true. But I think as you get a little bit older, for me, we went through some of the years all the way back to year 2000 when I quit playing. I quit playing in 99. I mean, that's almost 27 years. That's a long time. And, as a coach, I would sum it up like this. I think Dan Hurley may have said this, but here's what coaching is like. You have all this anxiety to try to win. And it's stressful. If you got a high level, you got all this anxiety, stress, and motivation to film or whatever it is to get your team to win. You win, you're relieved. You don't enjoy it for a short period of time. Then you start what? Then you start the same process over for the next one. Well, if you lose, then it's just misery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that cycle for me as a head coach kind of wore on me, you know what I'm saying, over 27 years. So I'm looking forward to not having that cycle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that, don't have the I like to fish and hunt, and while I'm still able and young enough to do it, I want to do those things. Definitely want to spend more time with my wife, my stepdaughter, my kid, Cannon Cutler, Elle, my wife, all those. They may not want to spend more time with me now, but I got more time at home. But my son's gotten into fishing, so a lot of factors. I know we probably ain't got time to get into the transfer rule and all. The one-time transfer in high school, wasn't a big fan of that one either. Wasn't really why I got out, but a lot of factors. But I hadn't really got to the retirement yet. The first summer I've had since first summer probably in my life that I won't have basketball, so I'm kind of looking forward to it.
And then, getting into when you walked away from the Hardwood and you signed that, what is one message that you hope the kids that you coached or you even taught that keep with them for the rest of their lives?
I think, and this one, Coach Pearl said a lot, is always focus on the process and not the end result. And I think if you apply that to our life, really we get caught up. Too many people get caught up in the results, and if you just focus on the process of each day of doing your best, and change whatever profession you're in. But for an athlete, how can I get better today? And not worry about how many points I'm gonna score the next night or whatever. Just focus on that process, not the end result. And I think the other one would be, I think our world is too selfish. Put others first, do the right thing, and be a great teammate. And I think that's probably, if you think about it, life is in general. You've got a team here in your facility. I got a team I work with. I mean, you get married, you got to be a team player. So be a great teammate. And
then now coming off this new age, transfers, NIL. What is your thoughts on everything that's happened, and even the NCAA tournament expanding? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the NCAA tournament expanding, I mean, that can kind of go on and on. I don't really care either way. I think it's all about the money. Obviously, I think we all can agree on that. But I don't mind having it expanded a little bit. I haven't really got into the details of how it's expanded, but I don't really mind it. I think it's I'm assuming it's more play-in games. I'm assuming so. Much, yeah. Play your way in. That's what you got. But you're always going to have enough. How many we got in there now?
I think like 70.
And then they're going to be saying 70. We should have 76 because this team was on the bottom. It's always going to be that. I think my biggest thing on the NIL, I don't know how these college coaches do it. I mean, it's wild. I mean, I'm not in it now. Luckily, when I was in Coach Pearl, we didn't have the NIL. But, I mean, my opinion, we got to have contracts. It's getting this money, they can just leave, right? And there's nothing to hold them there. So they're always going to be leaving for more money, without have some type of. So I'm not smart enough to figure exactly how that should work, but I am smart enough to think that that's probably what we need to do to kind of police some of that.
Do you think it's good for college basketball?
I think whether it's good or bad, I think I'm old school. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's well. If I was playing, I would have thought it was good. I didn't get none of that when I played, but now it's like, nah, I'm gonna, But yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, I just know as a former athlete at Tennessee, if I would have been able to make some money, man, that'd been great. So I'm happy for the athletes because I think they deserve it. They've worked hard, put in a lot of time. There's a lot of stress there, and I ain't got no problem with it. But you got to be able to police it to a certain extent. I'm not a big fan of having to replace your entire roster every year, but Coach Barnes and M&A just keep on going, just get a whole new roster. I don't, so it's definitely changed for sure. And, these coaches that are going to continue to be successful are going to figure out a way to be good at it.
You said something you just talked about Coach Barnes a little bit. I think this team that he has is very, very talented. Probably to get him over the hump to the Final Four, if not a national championship. What do you think about this roster and what may occur with those guys?
Yeah, believe it or not, as a former player, I'll usually go to a couple practices a year, and I'll still do that even though I'm out. I love Coach Barnes. I think he's one of the best in the business, not only a coach but as a person. Most people know, if you know him or even if you don't know him, he's just high character, very, great for the university. But my man can recruit. My man can recruit, and he got obviously a great staff with him. I would be making stuff up if I said I thought this player or that player. The only one, obviously, I kind of know. You'd have to say their names. I don't know a ton about them, but the kid at Wake Forest, he came from Wake. Just one of the last.
I'm not gonna say Terrence. Geez.
Yeah, that's who you're thinking about. Who it is. But anyway, I'm familiar with him because I watched Wake Forest games because Coach Forbes was
Juke Harris.
There you go, heck of a player. Because I watched several of their games because I was watching Wake because Coach Forbes was on staff when I was with Coach Pearl. And by the way, he's a great coach too. So I am familiar with him. I know they got a post guy from VCU. Got two kids from VCU. Mm-hmm. I don't have a ton of knowledge on those guys. I'll be able to see them, this summer, some and in the fall, hopefully. But just based on the projections and. Coach Barnes is a portal guy. Man, he's been well in the portal the last 3 years. I don't think that'll change this year. So, but you also got to look at it. Can they win a national championship? I'm sure they can, but there's a lot of them out there who's going to be able to say that because it's like Michigan this year, they just totally reloaded and won it. Down early 2 years in a row. So, But yeah, I'd like to see them get to a Final Four. I went to Final Four like 6 years in a row for the National Coaching Convention.
Mm-hmm.
I was dying to have Tennessee make it, and they never did. So hopefully they'll get there. They'll get there. I don't know when it'll be. They'll get there.
How big of that will it be for the city if they get to a Final Four or win a national championship? Do you think how big is that for the city?
Oh wow! I mean, I was a player at Tennessee when we won the national championship in '98. I was a junior. T. Martin and that crew. Obviously, when the baseball won it, what was that? 2 years ago?
24, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's. But if you talk about football and basketball, and obviously what Vitello did with the baseball program, yeah, I mean it'd be great for the city. I mean, we got our fans are great, so it'll be, yeah, it would be lights out for sure around here, no doubt.
And then my last question to you: what's next?
People's asked if I'll coach again. I really don't think I will. You never say never, but the grind kind of caught me. I'm looking forward to not having a grind and having some time for myself and family and other stuff. But what's next for me is I'm gonna try to be the best husband I can be, best father I can be. I'm gonna try to be the best fisherman I can be, and see if I can get a little bit better in hunting. I love to deer hunt, turkey hunt. My parents are getting up there in age. I got to be able to help them, a little bit too. So, but if you want to find Coach Green, you can probably go to if it's in the summer, you can go to Watts Bar Lake, Fort Loudon, Tellico, one of those lakes. If it's in the wintertime, I'll be in a tree stand somewhere. If it's spring, I may be turkey hunting, so that's probably where you'll find me.
I don't know, Coach Green. Something just telling me you're gonna be in the rafters at Oak Ridge, sitting up top like Pat Riley. You're gonna be coaching Denard and say, "Hey, man, I see what you see here, but let me tell you something."
Yeah. I told Denard, I was like, "Man, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, let me know. But I'm gonna stay out of his way, and I may pop into a game or two, but I won't. I'll probably watch a lot of them on TV, honestly, because those late nights catch you too, especially from November to March. Getting home at 10:30, it catch you, especially for an old man."
I appreciate your time, Coach Green. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.